welcome to this evening's beer review. It's a little bit before I go and put my chickens to the coop. As you can see outside, it's almost sunset. Well, it's past sunset. It's actually getting pretty dark. I don't know why this camera is so weird about daylight. I know I said I was going to do a special review next, but that review is going to have to wait a little bit for a variety of reasons. I have all the stuff on hand. It's just I'm just not ready to do it. I'm not in the right mind state to kind of go and do it. A lot of work things going on I don't want to go into. But yeah. So beer. So what are we going to be reviewing today? Well, this was the last can available at Safeway. This is the Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. 9.0 ABV. This was brewed good until March 2020. March 2020. So brewed fairly recently. This is 9.0 ABV. I'm not sure what the hopping is, or the IBU level. If anyone wants to go and say so, they can say so below when I finally upload this, which should be soon. So one of the reasons why I'm kind of holding off is because I want to do the big reveal, have everything uploaded and kind of do it and try to get into a regular uploading schedule. But enough about that. Let's go and review this. Had some great chicken masala tonight. Just making conversation, folks. So, a nice clear golden yellow. Not very highly carbonated, as you can see here, with a thick, fluffy white head that is redolent of pine, dankness, ozone. I swear I'm the only person who smells ozone in beers. And hints of floral and spice as well. More floral than spice, I would say. Wow, pretty much a dictionary definition of chewy. I haven't had a beer this thick in a long while. Probably one of the thickest mouthfeels I've ever had. But actually not too oily on the palate. And surprisingly, not too boozy either. It definitely doesn't have any alcohol burn or boozy top notes. Maybe a little in the midst, but that's kind of surprising for a 9.0 double IPA. Definitely West Coast all the way. And quite good as a West Coast all the way. Let me go and lower this a little bit. I think it's a little bit too high. Camera angle is weird. I'm going to lower this. So it doesn't distract too much. You can see the mic boom behind me, but hey, you can also see my messy bedroom behind me as well. So as I was saying, definitely West Coast. Lots of bitterness in the finish. Resiny notes. Some slight tannic notes, but tannic notes are not really overdone. In the front, hop forward, but over a thick malt base. You can really tell all the residual sugars are in there. Which is why it kind of balances out in the finish as well. It's really balanced, you know, the heaviness of the mouthfeel of a lot of residual sugars and alcohol is balanced out by the hopping. So neither really seems all that overbalanced. I have to say, of double IPAs I've had, this has been one of the more balanced ones. Most either go too much in one direction. Almost some tropical fruity effervescent notes and effervescent top notes, especially in the mid palate. But by no means juicy. There's some grapefruit, citrus zest aspects to it, but not overly much. Just a bit there in the mid palate. As it warms up, a little bit of heat is starting to show, but not all that much, relatively speaking. So overall, I gotta say, this is a pretty good example of a double IPA. Heavy, but well balanced. You're getting that malt and hop balance there. The hops are very well defined. I can't really go and point out varietal, though, because I'm not that much of a beer head. God help me if I ever do become the kind of person who can tell the difference in between Citra and Amarillo hops, or even worse, the percentage used. Because that would mean I've been drinking too much beer, folks. So, some news about New Belgium, which makes Voodoo Ranger. They were basically the largest cooperatively owned brewery in America, probably the world, I would think. And just recently, within the past week, they sold out to Kirin, the Japanese macro brewer, and a lot of employees, a lot of long-time employees, had a pretty hefty payout for that, about somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. Of course, as it usually goes with this sort of thing, there's whole bunches of people saying that they'll never touch another New Belgium beer ever again. Or, oh, New Belgium's doomed now that they're owned by a macro brewery. Or, worse yet is that they're going downhill, that's why they ended up being bought by a macro brewery. And I think it's actually kind of, I'm going to go into a little bit of beer politics here. I think it's really stupid when people say this, and it's said so much every time a mid-sized craft brewer, mid to large-sized craft brewer sells out. And you just have to look at the economics of the situation to understand why it happens so often now. And it's literally just a matter of shelf space. You know? A lot of these regional, secondary national tier craft brewers, they're fighting for shelf space. There's only so much shelf space available for beer. And a lot of that is tied up in the sort of connections that macro brewers have to distributors, as you know, because America has a 3-tier distribution system in which brewers have to sell to a distributor, and the distributor is what sends it to bars and liquor stores, grocery stores, etc. And so, you know, small, very local craft brewers, like for example, Lanikai here, in my town, which is, you know, a small town of about 40,000 people. We have our own craft brewer, and they survive because, well, they have a very thriving sort of pub outlet which sells their beers. They have a lot of deals made with local craft restaurants, you know, the entire artisanal thing. And they have, you know, local appeal. But to get beyond distribution in the small state of Hawaii, to get beyond distribution for most of these brewers outside of their local metro area, that takes, you know, quite a step, quite a financial step to expand that distribution area. And it's very risky. You know, you're expanding production, but at the same time, you know, you're not really knowing how much you're going to be able to push out. It's good because it's a black box to you. You're putting things out there. You're saying, okay, this is available to distributors. Distributors buy it, and then, you know, they can go and change their orders. You don't actually know how much units you're actually pushing until way down the line. And things go, you know, only so much stuff can fit on the shelf. So everyone needs their edge. And unless you're Sierra Nevada, unless you're Boston Beer Company, aka Sam Adams, you know, you don't have that sort of distributor heft in which you can get on tap handles in every bar, you can get into every single, you know, local supermarket, you know, and be shelved there. You can't get that. And so you're left with all this expanded capacity, which usually you took out loans to pay for, and whatnot. And, you know, it's really difficult to go and make your way in that mid-space there. So I cannot blame, you know, and I'm not just saying this because Anchor Brewing, my favorite brewery, was one of the ones that sold out. Sold out. I'm going to go and put the air quotes there. And I just want people to know it's not like people are selling out because they want to make a lot of money. No, they have to literally survive. It's like you're going to have to make the choice. Do you just want to be that tiny local brewer that, you know, just distributes to your metropolitan area and maybe a little the hinterlands beyond? Or do you want to become, you know, one of the regional brewers or national brewers? Do you want to go and push for that? And New Belgium was definitely making that push to go into full national. They already have full national distribution so far as I know, but they are much more tenuous compared to Sierra Nevada and Boston Beer, which is why, especially now that every other sort of regional brewery is sort of doing it, they're going to hop on that train too. I mean, heck, who can blame them, man? It's dog-eat-dog world out there. And a lot of craft brew, you know, blogs have gone on about the coming beer crash, you know, just like there was the one that happened in the 90s, the late 90s, that killed Pete's Wicked Ale and a whole bunch of other foundational microbrews, as they called it back then. And where was I going with that? Hasn't happened yet. And I think part of the process that's been kind of extending it has been regionals being picked up by macro brewers. And I don't know. I'm not going to name names here, at least for Hawaii, but I know everyone who is watching this who does drink a lot of craft beer can point out at least one local brewery where you wonder how in the world are they staying in business, and that is because their beer sucks. You know, and I'm not saying that their employees suck. I'm not saying that their owner sucks or that their head brewer sucks. You know, as people or as business people, but is just as producers and distributors of beer, they kind of suck. They're not making great beer, and you know, you just kind of wonder how they stay on the shelf. And there's been like almost 5 years now, and I'm still wondering. Well, I have theories, which I'm not going to share online because I don't want to go and piss on people for no reason, because I think, you know, the people involved with this brewery are, the brewery I'm kind of talking around here, are awesome people. It's just like, well, they just need to try harder, you know, or figure out how to get past their problems. But they remain in business, so I don't know why. I'm just some guy who reviews beers and yammers on from his tiny studio apartment. Well, going back to the Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA, like I said, in summation, a pretty damn good example of the West Coast take on the style. Very well balanced. And it will hit you like a club if you're not careful, as I can say here. Just look at me just rambling on and on. But hey, at least I'm trying to make an effort to go and put on nice clothes now, since people are like asking me, people in my real life are asking me, oh, you have a beer channel? Can I see? And I'm like, well, folks, that's your beer review / 10-minute ramble on about trends within the craft beer community and brewer community. And that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers. Got to put my chickens to sleep. I kind of went on a little bit too long, and now I have to go and figure out how to catch them in the dark. Night, folks.